At the end of Cromwell's time, in and around the year of our Lord 1660, two things miraculous came about, which, as I shall relate, gave us great hope for the future of this island, this England. The first, the restoration of Charles Stuart to his throne of England, after many long years of exile in Holland. Miraculous, for that his father, King Charles, was executed by Cromwell only 11 years earlier. And the second, the birth of Geniry Pёrsellu, organist, composer. His father and his uncle, both of the Chapel Royal in the great abbey at Westminster. From heaven he came. Their lives were drawn together as if by divine hand, and together they changed our history forever.
Kind heaven, make us Englishmen again.
Why Charles Stuart shall not be King of England, let him come forth and speak.
Sovereign, I offer no flattering titles, but speak words of truth. You are the desire of 3 kingdoms, the strength and stay of the tribes of the people.
Really? Why then did it take you so long to ask me back? Up fish, Mr. Newton. What's this, a wrestling match? Mr. Newton, why are you upon the floor?
I was thrown here by this popish blockhead, your royal brother, sir. A Catholic. If you had a pennorth of spunk, you'd burn the lot of them.
Ah, Nellie, overacting again, I see.
It would prove so senseless as to make Nellie die for love.
Quite so. Mr. Pepys, do send to the Queen and ask her to come.
Well, we're sure never to see his like again. In this world. 'Tis said, we have a pretty witty king whose word no man relies on. He never says a foolish thing and never does a wise one. To which His Majesty replied, that is very true, for my words are my own. My actions are those of my ministers.
Dreadful house. What's the advance, do you know?
Dire.
Oh, there we are.
Well, it's a creaky old play.
Is it? Oh, I liked it. How would you know? You've never seen it.
No, but I've heard it for weeks.
Never dry there.
Oh, don't look so sad, sweetheart. Any of us could have done it.
Well, sorry it ruined the whole scene.
It doesn't matter. It didn't ruin anything. Come on, get dressed if you're coming.
Oh, I don't think I feel like eating.
Yes, you do. I do. I'm starving. Go on, wait.
Oh, how's the mighty work?
Stopped. Ceased. Dead.
So we're writing a play, are we? Well, it can't be as bad as this one.
May I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, the matinee starts tomorrow at 5 o'clock, with or without an audience. And would the owner of the blue Ford Cortina, BKH1T, not park outside the stage door, as this space is reserved for the manager of the Sloane Square Underground Station?
All right.
Didn't take you long.
No, never does. Bill was in.
Nellie! Nellie, where are you? Hi, Guy. Hello, Murray.
Oh, Bill. He's in the shower. He didn't know you were in. I didn't know you were in. Did you know you were going to be? Did you notice me dry? Sorry.
Don't apologise to me, Nellie Gwyn. Apologise to Charles.
I've done that.
Oh, well, that's all right then, isn't it?
When are we coming off?
I have never in my entire life seen anything as boring as what went on there tonight. What's the matter with you?
Everybody knows it's coming off, Bill.
Well, I don't know it's coming off, and I'm the fucking producer! And listen, if it is coming off, if it is, who's to blame, huh? I mean, we're supposed to be doing a play of our times here. The Golden Age. And does it look like it? Does it buggery? Looks like some creaky old piece by George Bernard Shaw.
Well, that's what I said.
And you stay out of it, dear. You know nothing about it. I do.
Sorry, I spoke. You need a towel, Mr. Betterton.
I mean, we can do anything, as long as it's not boring.
Hello, Bill. Didn't know you were in.
Everything happened then, Charlie. Everything. They opened up the theatres again, didn't they? Science, poetry, Dryden, Milton, actors and actresses, Wren, St. Paul's, music, Purcell. I mean, Purcell! Oh! Delicious. Boom, 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 boom.
Squire Dryden.
All eyes you draw, and with the eyes the heart of your own pomp, the greatest part. Loud shouts the nations happiness proclaim, and heaven this day is feasted with your name. His ashes in a peaceful urn shall rest. His name a great example stands to show how strangely high endeavors may be blessed, where piety and valor jointly go.
I hear tell they have dug up Master Cromwell and his mother, both looking as cheerful as any could in that condition.
The boy Purcell was took into the Chapel Royal School in Westminster, cleaning and repairing the organ, and sometimes, with his friend Pelham, being less than helpful to his Uncle Thomas, the King's composer. But oh, the sights and sounds and smells young Harry must have seen while learning his music.
What?
Sir?
Why?
Sir?
This?
Harry. It's a piece.
The boys.
Shall you hear it, sir?
Marshal!
Sir.
A piece! Writ by Harry.
With no assistance?
None, Captain. But what is it? What is it?
Blow boy!
Well, it has a catch.
It is not a catch.
No. It is not a catch.
Do give it to the king. He has such a plump bass.
I? You, sir, are the king's composer in ordinary.
I attend from the sickness to fly in vain, since I am myself my own fever, since I am myself my own fever and pain.
Twill surely catch with him.
And I shall say it which it is, which is why, in face of brought over, I say brought over Frenchmen, which you do, Master Locke, smelling as thou dost of popish superstition, thou brat of Rome. Not one bit of it anywise other than what it is, which it is English. English. I want none of your vant catras here.
No more now, but heart with pride no more swell. Thou canst not raise voices, thou canst not raise voices enough to rebel. I intend from love's sickness to fly in vain, since I am myself my own fever, since I am myself my own fever and pain.
I, Captain Henry Cook, say it, as master of the children of the Royal Chapel, you, Harry Purcell, are destined. Do you but stay obedient and compliant, and do better with your viol and your fingering.
I hate the viol.
Its use is to strengthen a part, to support the voices. A chest of viols is essential in church when the people cannot sing in tune.
I would always have my people sing in tune, and rest the voices, and then use my violins.
Fiddles? Too brisk. What can a fiddle say alongside a generous, heroic viol, except it should not come among 'em? Fingering. Fingering, Harry. Fret and finger.
For we shall banish cornets with voices, now we have them, to the glory of God and the King, and to, I shall say it, to prosperity. This is a music factory. But make people feel, Master Purcell. Give them lessons in feeling. Let them think afterwards. Now, in some countries, this might be thought a dangerous approach.
But not in England. Not today, dear heart.
What?
Little danger of people feeling too much. Not in England. Not today. Encircled as we are with the Cromwellian army of prigs, knighthood seekers, and grubby time servers. Fat delayers of the law. Blockheads. Merely shrug their shoulders while their money meters tick merrily away. Whose wealth is a license for calumny, whose stupidity passes for concern. Fly from love's sickness is both foolish and vain, for I am myself my own fever and pain.
What are you talking about?
I gave it all to her, Mother Bloody Hubbard. And I left her, you know. So many children, she didn't know what to do.
Stop moaning and come back to bed.
No. I'm not in the mood. Not anymore. You brought up money.
If you don't get on and write your bloody play, this poor Nellie will definitely stop.
But it was as easy as that. Do you know, last night I had the same dream I've been having all these years. I'm about to make my entrance on a stage. Behind the flats, the other actors are performing a play I know nothing about. A play about the short life and tragic death of Geniry Pёrsellu, composer in ordinary to the violins of King Charles II. I play the king.
Of course.
My entrance is important. That I know. I stand there peering through the cracks in the scenery, trying to find out what is going on. Eventually, I decide I must have missed my entrance, so I grab a door handle and push. Everything rattles, and suddenly I'm in a world where I can't see anything. Even though I know the spotlight is on me, I don't know my moves, I don't know my first line, but I make enormous efforts to speak, to say something. I open my mouth and drive all the strength I can find into my diaphragm, but I make no sound. I try to force open my eyelids, but I can't. I can feel the light, but I cannot see.
Dreams won't pay the bloody rent.
How much?
£11, 2 shillings, and 10pence. The total in the Exchequer, Your Majesty. And the national debt in excess of 3 million, Your Majesty.
I cannot pay them. Why they do it, I cannot think. Why they play on, sing on, they do. I cannot pay my sailors. I cannot pay my guard. But they are rogues. They pay themselves. No, it's the players, the singers, the dancers. We must find a way, Edward, to pay them. Chapel Royal.
Bankers were a tribe grew up in Cromwell's time. Never were heard of before.
They are come to stay, I fear.
Since when did you smoke a pipe, dear? Harold Wilson, is it?
I've always smoked a pipe. There's a kind of spirituality about a pipe. Rarely found in love, but occasionally in friendship.
You're not going to find anything on Purcell anywhere. I've searched everywhere. I found that for you in the London Library.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, nothing. That's what makes him an ideal subject for a play. Nobody knows anything about him. Except, of course, nymphs and shepherds. I could play a shepherd, and Nellie could play a nymph. The shepherds come away, come. No, seriously, Charlie, you make it all up. We'll get George to put it on, and we'll make you star. We could even get an Arts Council grant.
Means test man.
We can get Guy to play King James. Vernon can do Spratt, and Murray can play, thingy, what's his name? What's he called? Salisbury?
Shaftesbury, Bill. Shaftesbury. There was another 5 years ensnared by middle-class pietists and saloon bar bullies like that. Thank you very much. The only composer to be buried here, apart from John Blow, his teacher, and hallelujah, George Frederick.
Is this Wellington?
Paid for by a lady.
What?
A lady. We don't know who. There's even a mystery there. You know, who paid for the inscription next to Purcell's grave? Lady Howard, possibly.
Absolutely.
We know when he died. St. Cecilia's Day, patron saint of music, probably of tuberculosis. Possibly of chocolate poisoning. We don't know when he was born, or where he was born, whether his father was actually his uncle, whether his mother was, well, not exactly.
Absolutely.
One thing we are sure about is that he owed everything from the beginning to Charles II. Well, everybody did. You did.
Me?
Yes, you. You wouldn't even be remembered. Who remembers tarts unless they get to screw somebody famous? No sleep as sweet as that.
Isn't he pretty? Aren't you pretty?
What? Wellington?
Well, I'll do my best. Where should we start?
music and the mirth of kings are out of tune. Do you know she picked up this tourist in Westminster Abbey?
What were you doing there? You're not a Christian.
Yes, I am.
Church of England, are we?
Do you know Purcell wrote nearly 1,000 pieces of music in just 16 years? Only 15 of them actually signed. I mean, that's a full-scale piece of work every week.
Everybody thought Charles II was Church of England, but he wasn't.
In the matter of the Dutch fleet, as Secretary to the Admiralty, it is my duty on steam, seditious.
Hereditary.
Have we not chosen enough to make us
seditious? What is wrong? Not enough bounce.
Come if you dare a trumpet sound. As Secretary to the Admiralty, it is my duty on steam. We come, says the double beat of the thundering drum. Come if you dare, no money for such expenditure. Come, says the double beat of the thundering drum. Now they charge on the main, now they rally again. Secretary to the Admiralty, it's my duty.
It is heretical to urge that the metal heritage rise from the people. I pity
mankind that will perish or go. Kill me.
Yes, I know all that. I know all that. We must fight the Dutch. But who will pay for it? Where will the money come from? I do believe the devil shits Dutchmen. Who?
The judge who sentenced your father to his death.
Must I? I'm weary of hanging. Let it sleep.
Majesty?
Is that?
Your future queen, sire. From Braganza.
She looks like a bat. My dear. Such pretty hands and, feet.
A dowry of $500,000. Tangiers. Access to Brazil and the East Indies trade. Tea, coffee, rubber, Your Majesty.
I shall have to contain myself with my Lisbon gait. I shall, of course, do my duty. Shall I not, my Lady Castlemaine?
I attempt from love's sickness to fly in vain, since I am myself my own freeman, since I am myself my own freeman and pain. For love has no power and this mercy than pain to make us seek ruin, to make us seek ruin.
40,000 or so. Or so. Yes, let's say 40,000 pounds, Master Kiffin, is the sum which, were you to offer in loan, would make us so grateful it should advance.
Majesty, utter honour, sire, death I swear it. But rather I would give you, this day, give ye 10,000 pounds. Give ye.
And you shall, Master Kiffin. For love hath greater power and less mercy than fate.
Joy, I am saved 30,000. Saved 30,000.
'Tis I, 'tis I, 'tis I that have won you. 'Tis I, 'tis I, 'tis I.
No matter the lack of money, the theatres were flung open, new sheets flung up, poetry written, music heard.
'Tis I, 'tis I, 'tis I that have won you.
I had the occasional success myself, but it was the actresses which took the king's eye. Most chief among these was pretty witty Nell, with whom I had had some dalliance myself, before Charles the King. But that's another story.
Poet. Damned dull poet. Who could prove so senseless as to make Nellie die for love? Nay, what yet worse, to kill me in the prime of Easter time, in tart and cheesecake time.
And a mighty pretty soul she is!
Bloody freezing.
Yes, my dear Barbara.
Absolutely. You have every right to ask me to support you. What do you want? Money, I suppose.
Would be a help. Writing a play, I hear.
Trying to, you know.
Writers dissemble, you know. Like you. They're not to be trusted. Like you. They look for intellectual respect and approbation. Like you. They flatter, indulge, and offer false and easy comfort. Like you.
Once, our native language was refined and free. Like the old liturgy of the Anglican Church, or Pepys, Dryden, Purcell, each of whom tried to find a vibrant language in which it was possible only to tell the truth. That, I believe, is worthy and worth our attention.
It's for her, I suppose. For starving Nellie.
No, it's for me. It's about Purcell.
Anything in it for me?
Oh, I wouldn't think so. It's about genius.
Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress, the Tower of London, and in particular to the Wakefield Tower, usually known as the Jewel Tower. Here you see in the first case Her Majesty's crown jewels. Here, of course, is St Edward's crown, used at the coronation of all our sovereigns ever since 1661, when the crown was made specifically for King Charles II. On the right of St Edward's crown, of course, is the ampulla and spoon. The ampulla was filled with holy oil to anoint our sovereign during the coronation service. The crown weighs £5 in gold and is encrusted with over 400 precious stones, diamonds, emeralds, sapphires, rubies, and what have you. What we'll take you to now is the other crown, which is known as the Imperial State Crown, which is much smaller. Come on, this way now. Come on, you've got pretty hair, haven't you? Here we go now. This way, follow me, please. Keep your hands in your pockets and whistle Dixie at all times.
His father had pawned the old crown jewels to pay for his wars. Were these paid for?
No, they were not. Cost me, his goldsmith, 32,000. Mine by rights. Oh, but he was merry. Sank 10 fathom deep, all Parliament's mumping. Pure gold. Sire, you'll stop on and take the other bottle?
Your barns will be full and your ovals eat. Come, boys, come, boys, come, and merrily roar out our harvest home, and merrily roar out our harvest home. Harvest home, and merrily roar out our harvest home, and merrily roar out our harvest home. We've cheated the parson, we've cheated the man. For why should a blockhead have 1 in 10? 1 in 10, 1 in 10. For why should a blockhead have 1 in 10? For why should a blockhead have 1 in 10? 1 in 10, 1 in 10. For why should a blockhead have 1 in 10? For why should a blockhead have 1 in 10? It toss of our and hail for the honor of Old England, Old England, Old England, and hail for the honor of Old England, and hail for the honor of Old England, Old England, Old England, and hail for the honor of Old England, and hail for the honor of Old England.
Upon my soul, I do declare you have the best manner of singing in the world!
But oh, the plague. It came every year, and fear with it. 1665 was the worst, the hottest summer in memory, my memory. And mine it is that shrinks from it. From the numbers dead. Half the population of London gone, cut down like a flower. Even the dogs, grisly outlaws of nature, killed. 40,000 of them.
The Dutch brought it, Your Majesty. They had it first. It come ashore with the Dutch, and now we all dies, Your Majesty.
So many poor, sick people in the streets, full of sores, and so many sad stories as I walk.
Siehst thou not, how stiff and wondrous cold, far unfit to bear bitter cold.
A dying city. All fled who can.
Bring out your dead! Oh, draw my breath. Let me freeze again. Let me freeze again to death. Let me freeze again to death.
In London fields and Hackney they buried them. Harry's father among them, in a pit.
They say the ravens are beating at the doors of the dying.
Fright the lonely traveller.
They say.
No boats upon the river. The grass is growing all up and down Whitehall. None but wretches in the streets.
The spots, first, do generally appear in the region of the heart and liver, or the breast, or...
No, everywhere. Tokens big as half a crown. Sometimes red with blue within. On hands, face, neck. Black they go. Black. From melancholy.
Oh, since I have so short a time to live, a little sweet.
Robbery and thievery, the looting of plunder, public hangings, bonfires to purify the stinking air. Everywhere. Everywhere.
So short a time.
Since I have so short a time to live, a little ease to these my torments give.
A land of confusion and endless night, where horror reigns, where darkness is light.
Take up the filth from among us. as you take our sins from us, we do but plead.
And shit from us the plague of popery.
The best remedy, apart from tobacco, is wash out the mouth with vinegar often, and rosemary, sorrel, verjuice, marigolds. All these stuff in the cracks and holes of the body when abroad. All had from a physician before he decamped to Gloucester, the rogue and coward. The king goes to see the wretched sick and gives £1,000.
Oh, bless him. Even though... Aye.
Even though he will not pay for music. Even though he loves it.
And then the fire destroyed half the city.
Master Pepys! Master Pepys!
My maid Jane had me wake at 3, Tom, to look out at it. I saw some smoke but went back to bed, for the source being assuredly no more near than the backside of Mark Lane. Our Lord Mayor neither, I'm told, saw cause for concern. His words a maid may piss it out. Well, Jane certainly could not. There is some buckets being filled, but no fire squirts nor cistern engines. All simply remove themselves.
Will it reach up here?
Jaws clamped shut, singing boys, do not expose your throats to the heat. Breathe not but through stuff. Pull us away, boatman, or we'll burn up underwater. Muffle, boys, muffle. Your cords are everything. No sooner are we free of Cromwell and can our boys sing again than the flames of his hell lick up at us.
Such a roaring was never seen in the city before.
Oh, do you see his majesty?
The king!
Jamie! They must pull the houses down before it. Is it not being done? Oh, they will not. They must do it or the fire will never be stopped. Where is my Lord Mayor?
Having his daughter piss on it?
I had fought in his wars for his father's righteous cause.
The decree has gone out! Repent or burn!
Quash another burning murderous Frenchman that should never been born alive. See his black hands where he has set light to London. Is the popish villain left his life yet?
Enough! Enough!
No popery, your majesty!
I see nothing that pertains to the man's religion.
It will suffice that he is French.
Indeed it will, for him. Set to it like no ordinary men, or your city will burn itself to death. Seize me that bucket. Ted, toss it to me, man. My lord Sharon, that these flames quicken. It will not thank him for it, but blame him and the religion he is secret supposed to hold.
What he do or not do, he has my loyalty, in spite of the money he owes me.
Not paid his music in 6 years, which is why no man will breed his child in it. So it need be that the science itself must die in this nation. 6 years! 6 years since you were at the king's crowning.
God save the king! God save the king!
I promised a liberty to tender consciences, and this shall be a cause and reason for my 6 new colonies in the Americas. Maryland I name in memory of my mother, Maria. New York for my brother James, Duke of York. And the Carolinas and Charlestown for me.
Ah! Why did you make me go on that march?
Well, you're always telling me that Charles II had to endure plots and demonstrations, not to mention fire and plague. So I thought you ought to see what a real demo's like.
You're one of those militants that exploits political crises for personal glory. You're both psychopathic and self-righteous.
No! My book! My pilgrim's book has traveled sea and land. Yet could I never come to understand that it was slighted or turned out of door by any kingdom, were they rich or poor. In France and Flanders, where men kill each other, my pilgrim is esteemed a friend, a brother. As in New England, under such advance, receives there so much loving countenance as to be trimmed, new clothed and decked with gems, that it might show its features and its limbs.
Is that? As treasurer, you should know.
Just sign it.
Your Majesty, as you seem to pay the army in Dunkirk, speaks the French. Do you represent some goldsmiths and Bankton's Lombard countries, to whom your Majesty owes £1,300,000?
That is a very great sum, my lord. What might we do?
Prorogue Parliament, close the exchequer, all interest on payments stopped, all interest due on loans refused.
Splendid.
Damn me! Oh! Pestilence! Fire! And now! Now! Damn me if we ain't ruined! We ain't ruined!
Was ever a city so afflicted? 4,000 streets destroyed, 90 churches, 14,000 houses.
Architecture has its political uses, my lord. Public buildings being the ornament of the country.
But the cost, your majesty. What Master Wren has designed will cost 8 million, at least.
It establishes the nation, draws people and commerce, and makes men love their native country.
So he built all of this?
More or less.
And why the boat?
Oh, well, he and his brother used to love racing up and down the Thames, just for a bet. He was a fantastic sailor, apparently. He called his boat the Fubs, after the nickname of his mistress, one of his mistresses, the Duchess of Portsmouth. She was small and squat and broad of beam, like you.
Cheeky bugger! How many did he have then?
What?
Women.
How do I know?
I don't know. Thought you were looking him up, writing a play or something. Stop it. Keep your hands to yourself if you're not going to be nice.
He was accused of having 39.
Come away, fellow sailors, come away. Your anchor's been weighed. Time and tide will admit no delay. Take a boozy short leave of your nymphs on the shore, and silence their mourning with vows of returning, but never intending to visit them more. Never intending to visit them more. No, never intending to visit them more. Come away.
Even had up before a church court to answer some pamphlet written about him. The Poor Whore's Petition, it was called.
Scurrilous. It may be, but the temper of England may be indifferent to religion, my Lord Bishop, but I am not. Is it true, Majesty?
Certainly, my Lord Bishop. One mistress for each article of faith. There are 39, are there not? Such is my devotion to our Church of England.
Weigh your anchor.
Tide admit no delay. Silence your mourning with those of return. They never intend to visit you more.
What are you going to do today?
What Charles wanted and what Purcell wrote about so gloriously was a country of tolerance, irony, kindliness. Not like today, when the modesty of heroes is dispatched with derision and contempt, and thus thrown up a generation for whom honor is a forgotten, meaningless currency. May God rot the tyranny of equality, streamlining, classlessness, and above all, absurd, irrelevant correctness.
That's just a matter of opinion, and you know it.
Opinions. Do you know that opinion making is this country's most virulent growth industry? The market is insatiable. The newspapers, like television, pour out opinions with a frenzy that marked the production of Spitfires during the war. Phone-ins proliferate, choked with calls from the semi-literate, the bigoted, and the balmy. Opinion polls, the entrails of democracy, are picked over for prophetic insights. We've become a nation of babbling backseat cab drivers. What are you giving up for Lent, I was asked yesterday. Opinions, I said, permanently.
Oh, bloody hell.
Well, to answer your earlier question, I'm off to the British Library. Want to come? You could pick up an education. The London Gazette, October 9th, 1701. The score of the music for The Fairy Queen, set by the late Mr. Henry Pёrsellu, and belonging to the Theatre Royal in Covent Garden in London, being lost by his death. Whoever brings the said score to Mr. Zachary Baggs treasurer of the said theatre shall have 20 guineas reward. Give him. God, the actual score. Good for Mr. Baggs. I hope he paid up. 20 guineas for such a priceless manuscript, eh? The Fairy Queen, first performed May 2nd, 1692. Some of it in Purcell's own hand. So clear, so beautiful. What's this? We play it loud or soft, according to our fancy, or the mood of the music. Blank pages. Here follows, but what? What on earth did they do? Let kindness be our guide. The irony of love, the tolerance of hope. Fill and soften the sound as shades in needlework. An actor directions like that, he'll do what he likes. Make it up as he goes along. Good God, not a single correction. It's perfect.
From hence you may but... Yes. From hence you may look back on civil rage and view the ruins of a former age. Here a new world its glories may unfold, and here be saved the remnants of the old.
But while your days on public thoughts are bent, past ills to heal and future to prevent, some vacant hours allow to your delight. Mirth is the pleasing business of the night.
No more. No more. Be silent. Be silent. Be silent. Sweet repose, sweet repose as closed her eyes, soft as feathered snow does fall. Softly, softly steal from hence, no noise, no noise disturb her sleeping sense, no noise disturb her sleeping sense.
Sweet repose has closed her eyes. Soft as feathered snow does fall. Softly.
Hard by Pall Mall lives a wench called Nell. King Charles II he kept her. She hath got a trick to handle his prick, but never lays hands on his sceptre.
Where did you get that?
Head of the Times, Rita. A lot of scurrilous poetry about it, and dirty ditties, too. Purcell wrote quite a few. Just imagine what he must have seen growing up in that stew of luxury and inexpressible profanity.
Make room, 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 make room for the great.
By the time he came of age, young Harry was already well established at the court. Organist at Westminster Abbey, composer in ordinary like his uncle before him, keeper of the King's fiddles, still with his boyhood friend Pelham, still a boy himself. I remember.
You, Harry. I shall not. If not you, then I must, and I cannot, for I'm just married myself, and not an instant would I spend away from it. Marriage. Oh, do, Harry, what will you learn? The king commands it. How does he? Well, he commands me and I command you. It's French. It is. The king dotes on everything French, as I do. But not this. The marriage of Bacchus. Oh. Does he hate his brother so much he would give him this as a wedding gift? No. This rivalry, you know, between the king's company and his brothers. James, well, he ne'er troubled his head with too much thinking. If his brother wants a French play, then so must Charles. The cost of it. London is not big enough for two theatre companies, I tell you. Oh, isn't she wonderful?
Wonderfully large, she certainly is.
Isn't she French?
Much the same as you were your first week back from Paris.
In the king's service, Harry. The secret service.
I remember it well. The complete Monsieur Pelham une fraise of the Chapelle Royale, full of Molière.
I have it! I will have her, sir!
Thought you might, Monsieur.
I can't play it, Monsieur. I can't play this. Too many notes. Impossible. Too many notes.
And could he? It would be dreary and incomprehensible.
There may be some...
None! I shall not.
Rejoice, 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 as well as you.
All human things are subject to decay. So when fate summons, e'en a monarch must obey. And yet, a setting sun describes a track of glory in the skies. The king was grown old. Only his horses at Newmarket seemed to please him. Did I tell you? He founded the great stables at Newmarket. Champion jockey he was, with his brother James. James, waiting, watching. James, who trudged along unknowing what he sought, so whistled as he went for want of thought. James, who oft bewailed his fortune and his fate, to be the heir, yet always made to wait.
What Charles wanted was for the crown itself to be extraordinary. Good for the voice, my dear. Not like today, when the monarchy isn't even the tarnished gold fillings in a mouth full of decay. The rot set in, of course, with Queen Victoria, that no-neck little widow who spent most of the 60 glorious years of her reign skulking behind closed portcullis doors, leading a life of ineffable dullness, snapping at her huge family and foreign relations. Her husband, quite understandably, thought she was mad.
The king still loved the ladies, of course. The latest being Mistress Louise, the Duchess of Portsmouth, whom he had known for some time, but who was French, Catholic, and called Fubs. Why, I was never able to discover. Her son, the Duke of Richmond, also founded a race course, as I'm told, at Goodwood. But oh, a merry monarch, scandalous but poor, restless he rolled about from whore to whore. And he still loved his music, though he did not pay for it. Young Harry was always with him, and with him, his new lady, Frances, to provide a welcome ode or an anthem, whatever was required. No matter that plot and counterplot, the scourge of violence lurked everywhere, t'other side of the hangings. Remember? Returns it to the memory? The great Pope-burning processions. Does the memory jog? Bread and carnivals. Few took them seriously. The king knew men to a hair, and never let them forget it.
Do see them. Of his loins, not one legitimate. He has peopled the aristocracy of England.
The Queen is barren. He should rid himself of her.
If he will not, he must declare you Duke of Monmouth and his heir. As firstborn, bastard or no, you could be king, young man.
The tragedy was that the king had no children of his own. No legitimate children. His bastard son, Monmouth, was always plotting against him. He loved his son, but he was not his heir. He was not the crown.
Nature and nature's laws lay hid in night, till God said, "Let there be Newton," and all was light.
Yes. The honor is
overwhelming?
No, I'm not overwhelmed. I am perfectly capable of arranging the music for the announcement of the wedding of your niece, the Princess Mary, to her cousin William of the Orange, Your Majesty. And I am
overwhelmed?
Your Majesty, may I humbly submit this?
Ah, Squire Dryden.
If love and honour now are higher raised, 'tis not the poet, but the age is praised. Wits not arrived to a more high degree, our native language, more refined and free.
Wilt thou, Mary, daughter of James, Duke of York, take this man, William, as your dearly beloved husband? And wilt thou, William Henry, Prince of Orange, take this woman, Mary, as your dearly beloved wife? With this ring I thee wed, with my body I thee worship, and with all my worldly goods I thee endow. I now pronounce ye man and wife. till death do ye part.
Gather it up, girl. It is all clear game.
Those whom God hath joined together, let no man put asunder.
You'll have to get used to my habits. We may have to live together for a long while.
Told the king?
Told the king? I don't talk to the king unless he talks to me, which, on the matter of my marriage to Francis, which we are determined shall...
We are determined.
We love.
That love is strong.
I shall take the sacrament.
Look, you, Francis, are Flanders and Catholic. Harry here, now he is... Well, he's not. Dryden is, certainly, but now we are none of us
Of the old religion.
We dare not be.
The king is. Secretly.
You must not say that. That is not true. The nation would be rent were it so again. Up and down the land we would... Oh, it would be awful as it was. You may not remember how we were at throats, Englishmen, at the throats of other Englishmen.
We will be married.
We are married in love.
Well, I shall not tell the king.
Oh, do take care, Master Purcell.
From this blessed man, music just seemed to flow. Motets, anthems, songs, all manner of music for all manner of occasions. There was no dam, no stop to his golden flask. He was unstoppable.
What do it say? Vivace. What do it mean? Fast and brisk. Why don't you say so, young man? Ain't it French enough for you? What do I grave down here?
Adagio, if you would take the very great kindness, sir.
They that go down to the sea...
Yes.
That's fish. Do you mean to set that?
Yes.
Oh, how are your brothers? Charlie and Joe? They still travelling abroad?
Well, they must. They promised the king. He commandeth and raiseth up the stormy wind, which lifteth up the waves thereof, and we near to drown.
Very good. You said that. As long as you promise to abandon your detestable vials.
What, and achieve a fiddle?
Oh, Harry. I will travel no more. I resolve that I shall go abroad no more.
It's unimaginable.
None
Who would think
have
it
you,
or plot it?
Some would, some do. But then I am beset by plots, am I not, my Lord Shaftesbury? But when I die...
God save your majesty.
I know not what my brother might do. I am much afraid that he may be obliged to travel again for his religion. I shall take care to leave my kingdom at peace, wishing that he may long keep it so. These are all my fears, and little of my hopes, and less of my reason. I tell you, poets, that one, my bastard, pretty Prince Perkin, will be put on the throne by the Protestants, by the Whigs under Shaftesbury, the loudest bagpipe in the squeaky train. You must fight Shaftesbury for me. You must fight Popery, too. I'm so weary. Do excuse me for taking such a long time a dying. At doomsday, my Lord Shaftesbury, we shall see whose arse is blackest.
Listen a while, and I'll tell you a tale of a little device called the Protestant flail. This flail is made of the finest new wood for the splitting of brains and the shedding of blood, with a thump-a-thump-thump, a thump-a-thump-thump.
King's all right, maybe, but I'm his Protestant whore.
The loyalist people! I am your spokesman, and by the grace of God, nobody will silence me!
There is a popish plot in the land for the destruction of His Majesty King Charles. And that man,
He, Lord Stafford, he took from me a commission that I was given by Jesuits, that he should act as Paymaster General of the Pope's army to ravage this land.
Like the prigs and bullies who would now have dominion over our daily lives.
All of this will have to go, you know. No one will put up with all this violence on the telly anyway. No one will put up the money to make the thing.
Violence? What about the violence of threatened profit?
Oh.
The great English bourgeoisie who claim to believe in the virtue of leaving things alone, but whose objectives narrow down to a painful saw of human undernourishment. No, those are the people, the disgusted of Tunbridge Wells, who are in reality possessed of the real violence, the greedy desire to order the lives of all, especially those who speak out of turn, the sexually immoral, they think, like King Charles, or those who simply blaze forth their youth, like Purcell, Newton, Wren, the whole lot of them. That then is the voice of Jeremiah heard loud and clear in the land, or at least in the columns of the Daily Telegraph.
You're just a bloody socialist.
Socialist? To be a socialist today, my dear old Bill, is like being in the priesthood in a world without God, still trying to remember the order of service, prattling ceaselessly about the classless society to a middle class it dare not defy. What are you doing? Trying to tune into God?
No, the overseas service. We've got a play on, remember?
This is London.
Well, at least the BBC hasn't forgotten the Empire.
Oh, no. I'm dogged by that bloody tune.
They've whistled it, sung it, jeered it up and down the length of the land. Blood will flow from it, I'll warrant, before we have our quietude again. It's become an incitement, never an accompaniment. I can't hold myself responsible.
It is believed the man Oates lies. It's not believed there was any plot at all.
I shall use it as a ground, since composing upon a ground requires so little judgment.
You would set Richard II, the tale of a usurper.
I have renamed it the Sicilian usurper. None shall know.
Be judge yourself. I'll bring it to the test. Which is the basest creature? Man or beast? Birds feed on birds. Beasts on each other prey. But savage man alone does man betray.
The winter which came in 1684 was savage. The Thames froze over. The king became gravely ill. We were all afraid.
I'm going blind. I shall write no more. I've written none of my diary for years. This stinking city. Very little food, neither. Because of the ice.
They've arrested that pygmy, Shaftesbury, and a glittering worm in excrement.
I am going blind, you know.
Did you never hear the tale of the starving soldier who was fighting in the Holy Crusade? He was told by his officer that if he died in battle, he would dine in paradise with the blessed Jesus. Well, the soldier ran away. He didn't want to fight. And when he returned after the battle, the officer asked him why he had run away. Did you not want to dine with Christ? He asked. And the soldier replied, no. I'm fasting today, fretting my pygmy body to decay. Which body they strung up.
It's my blindness. You know?
smelled death in the air. Harry's firstborn died. Not even a whimper of warning. It dug so cold. Young Harry worked on, asked to judge which was the best organ in the land. I ask you, oh, what an absurdity at times does possess us. I ask you.
A most unwarrantable act of hostility.
I know it is the bellows. They are trampled. They are trampled, Mr. Purcell.
An unwarrantable act of hostility.
Since there is only one organ may be played, perhaps we should play it. Master Purcell, it is the half notes that make it sound so sweet.
He's dead. Dead.
Prince of so many virtues. Gracious on so many occasions.
O Lord, our Governor, how excellent is thy name in all the world. O Lord, our
Hide me. Hide me from the light of day.
is thy name in all the world. How excellent, how excellent is thy name in all. Thou that hast set thy glory above the heavens, hast set thy glory above
And with the new king marched general disorder.
Brother Teague has entered the decree. Lily Bolero Valenda.
The theatre in confusion, riots, hangings, the stink of revolution once again in the air. Fear stalked the land in dread of what we thought might come. Men set their door against the setting sun.
What did you say?
Me?
Ever.
What about?
No. They're arresting those who did. We have a Catholic king on the throne.
Yes, but will he pay his debts?
They say the Queen's Benedictines are costing 1,500 a year.
I fear this may well be the end of my church music.
I fear it may.
sleeps the viol and the lute? Why hangs untuned the idle lyre?
They'll come for us.
No, no. There's no need to be afraid.
Genri Pёrsellu, composer and order to the King's music.
I'm still that.
Clerk of the Check Extraordinary to His Majesty King James. Colonel Wharton, at your service, sir. I shall want a receipt, sir. Monies for repairing the King's instruments before his coronation.
What is it? What is it?
From the King, out of the Secret Service money. £34 and 12 shillings for erecting an organ.
But life continued. It always does. Harry was always the best of company. Always was. And while others fluttered in the wind, he stood shoulder to shoulder with those he loved and with those who loved him. Tell me, you gods, why do vain men pursue with endless toil each object that is new, and cast aside that which they know is true?
Paid for erecting an organ.
What art thou? What art thou? Confess!
Giovanni Draghi, at your service.
Italian. Too many Italians at court.
There's nothing wrong with being Italian. Italians are now in favor at court. I am very proud to be Italian.
I'm very proud to admit a just imitation of your Italian masters, who do bring seriousness and gravity into vogue. Nay, reputation against the levity and balladry of our neighbors, the French.
None may sing as low as my gosling. He called me his gosling.
Oh, do fill up my bowl.
The greatest king ever this country had, now dead.
No, isn't this a catch?
Hey, let's go down to the sea ships. These men see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep. That is what the stormy wind riseth, for that is where the stormy wind riseth, which lifteth up the waves thereof. They are carried up to heaven and down again to the
We must play.
What?
Blind man's buff.
The 107th Psalm. I set it. Too late. The king dead will never hear it.
I shall lower it into his grave.
I'm drunk as I live, boys, as I live, boys, as I live, boys, drunk. I'm drunk as I live, boys, drunk.
Oh, God. I'm drunk. As I live, boys. Fuddled.
Was a great king, would set us all, England too, all up. Well, now we have another, his brother.
England declined. King James was Catholic, but then so too was I. Debts piled, bankers grew fat, bankruptcy flourished. Poverty and death dropped on us everywhere.
You're jealous, that's all!
Of your work? Come on.
Jealousy that poisons passion!
And despair that dies for love. Yes, I have read the beginning of your rotten little play, you know.
Rotten? Little?
You know what this country has become? Once we had a church built upon a rock. Now the rock has been bulldozed, and with it our faith. What we're left with is a crawling underside of expediency and dishonor, beholden to Brussels, wherein the crooked shall be made straight and the rough places plain. England, my England, is shuffling about like an old tramp begging for a pair of boots at the tradesman's entrance of Europe.
Europe is the future, and you know it.
Europe is an adroit piece of brand name dropping, which will turn democracy into a hoax. a Masonic lodge of commerce, with a squalid membership of political mercenaries. The English conscience, for so many years out for hire or rent, is now up for outright purchase. The common market is about as drab a name for such a monumental swindle since some bright little German ad man thought of putting wholesale murder onto the market as National Socialism.
And then, another miracle. Without a blow, James was gone, prized out by the old aristocracy, which was Protestant and would not tolerate him any more, and went to his daughter Mary and her husband William of Orange, who landed at Tor Bay to general acclaim assured.
See the flags and streamers curling, anchors weighing, sails unfurling. Where is the Queen? Oh, do hurry up.
It seemed a new and glorious age had arrived. And for young Harry,
You are to receive all your monies, Master Purcell.
I am honored, Majesty. There is great want among the music.
There is great want in the nation, Master Purcell.
For peace and prosperity, Majesty, there is a great yearning.
There is a great yearning, Master Purcell, for martial music. Oboes and trumpets, Master Purcell. William will want you to write martial themes, such as sound the trumpet,
Yes.
beat the drums. Written, I believe, for my father, the late King. James, that is. So lately fled these shores.
Oh, you have but to command, Majesty.
Oh, but I do command, Master Purcell. I command you to celebrate this triumphant day, Master Purcell.
Stupid dolt. Stinking
To celebrate this triumphant day, tune on your voices and instruments play. to celebrate this triumphant day. Come, ye sons of us, come away. Come, ye sons of us, come away. Join your voices and instruments to celebrate this triumphant day. Join your voices and instruments to celebrate this triumphant day. To celebrate this triumphant day.
And these sums of money, Mr. Purcell, being taken for admission to the organ loft for a better sight of the coronation, are the right of the Abbey so to accrue, sirrah.
Sirrah me not, Dr. Spratt. You may be Dean of the Abbey, but I am in considerable station myself.
You are a keeper and mind of the instruments, sir. Nothing more, and have not the right to collect any monies whatsoever. You are a mere organ blower.
Organ blower? I am composer in ordinary, organist, copyist, and person of considerable worth, a musician born and bred to the Chapel Royal, where my father was before me, and my uncle also. My life lived here, my work for this place.
You will pay back every penny, sirrah.
I shall not. It is my perquisite, as it has been the perquisite of every organist.
You shall give all the money to Mr. Needham, sir, or in default you will lose your place, Master Purcell.
Where soul to end or come. I am being damned. I am pursued for debt and for my religion.
They say I must pay back the money I had for letting places in the organ loft. It's always been done. I have the right. I shall not. Though my debts be such that I shall lose my house.
Many do boom and bust these times. Nothing at the court. None anymore.
The stage is the thing for both of us.
I knew that when I saw Diocletian. I said,
Here is an Englishman equal to anyone abroad. Did I not?
and here I have something. None need know. King Arthur, originally written for King Charles. You know?
Too many words, too little action.
They said that about King Arthur, you know.
You know, I always thought we should have done that. Lancelot and Guinevere and Merlin. Great part for you.
Words are free, Bill. Conscience is cheaper.
Subversion and religion and mention of the king's defeat at Mons, which is not politic, nor is it true. Nor may you say he has a mistress.
I say none of this. I simply set it. It is a work for the theatre. An opera.
Opera is a danger you will do best to avoid.
Arthur, an opera written by Mr. Dryden, was excellently adorned with scenes and machines, with dances made by Mr. Josias Priest at a total cost of a mere £3,000. The musical part set by the famous Mr. Purcell, whose yearly salary was £100, with Lady Mary Tudor most excellently undressed as Cupid.
Is
play and music pleased the court and city, and being well performed, it was very gainful to the company.
It was awful, wife. It was not heard. From machinery, sliding shutters, roar of cannon, blast of trumpets, and flights of parrots. Betterton wants to do the Fairy Queen from Shakespeare with text by that oaf Sedley, you know, the father of the late king's mistress, Mistress Catherine.
What of the Queen?
Huh?
What of the Queen?
Oh, she clasped her hands and smiled at me with such consideration.
Did she, though?
And then she died.
Who?
The Queen, Mary, almost overnight, taken sick and died within a week. A statistical survey of the health of the late 17th century reveals that from every 100 births, only 1 in 3 lived beyond the age of 6. Queen Anne had 18 children. All died. He cometh up and is cut down like a flower. Only 1 in 10 lived until they were 70. The most common disease was rickets, resulting in deformed limbs and scrofula, while spotted fever, pleurisy, pneumonia, and above all, smallpox killed 2 out of every 5 of the population. The first symptoms of smallpox are shivering, followed by red spots on the skin, a rapid rise in temperature, vomiting, headaches, intolerance to light, a swollen tongue, hemorrhage of the skin, a tearing pain, and death. Regular bleeding by cutting into the patient's veins is thought to alleviate the suffering, though only temporarily. Suffer us not at our last hour from any pains of death to fall from thee.
Fear I'm becoming old, and infirmities come with age. Where is my husband?
Returning from Ireland, Your Majesty.
lion has died, you know. At Christmas. The lion died when Charles, the king. May my wrongs create no trouble in thy breast. No trouble in thy breast.
She was only 32. You fleeth as it were a shadow. Thou knowest, Lord, the secrets of our hearts. Shut not thy merciful ears unto our prayers, but spare us, Lord most holy, O God most mighty.
Her death broke young Harry. At least, that is my view. He tried his best to revive his Dido. Not one of mine, but some say his best. But he had no money, you see, so had to play Belinda himself. Huh. What irony that was.
My girls, Master Purcell. My girls, my nymphs, my shepherds. What can be done, Master Purcell?
Cut them out, Mr. Priest.
Belinda, the loyal servant of a queen who dies for love.
I told you when we first did this some 4 years back, although we did it in private, as we do now. Cut them out! They are a mediocrity!
The king would cut everything out, especially his musicians.
Ever gentle, ever smiling, and the cares of life beguiling, Mr. Priest. Beguiling. Beguiling. Beguiling.
Our world was disintegrated. We moved as in a dream, shadows without substance. Thus did our life become. 'Tis all a cheat. Yet fooled with hope, men favor the deceit. Trust on, and think tomorrow will repay. Tomorrow's falser than the former day. So when the last and dreadful hour this crumbling pageant shall devour, shall the trumpet still be heard on high? No. The dead shall live, the living die, while music shall untune the sky.
No government has ever been or ever can be wherein time servers and blockheads will not be uppermost. The persons only are changed. The same juggling in the state, the same hypocrisy in religion, the same self-interest and mismanagement will remain forever.
suffer us not at our last hour from any pains of death to fall from thee.
Harry was inconsolable. His heart screamed for peace, if that is what it was. And he sought it in a hospital called Bethlehem, among the mad of Bedlam. These poor souls, he told me, had seen the light. What light? Had they seen those shadows which we could not see, could only feel?
Lord, the secrets of our heart. Shut not thy merciful eyes from our prayers, but spare us, Lord most holy, God most mighty.
England, my England, do you know what this country has become? An old tramp shuffling around begging for a pair of boots at the tradesman's entrance of Europe.
Oh, but I do command, Master Purcell. I command you to celebrate this triumphant day, Master Purcell.
When we first did this, although we did it in private, as we do now, I told you then, cut them out! They are a mediocrity. Still, mediocrity is a great comforter. You'll see. I will become a grand object of public unconcern. My Dido, not even performed. At least not in public. Since Diocletian, some 50 works for the stage in only 4 years. And the result? Penury. Begging for enough to... Tell me, is this ugly, cheerless world in which we live supposed to be typical? Is this all?
Well, at least you never assembled a lot of sloppy fads and served them up as innovations.
I mourned the unknown. The loss of what went before. The deprivation of what, even as a child, seemed irrevocably my own. My birthplace. My country. That, at least, seemed as tangible as death.
Have I looked for answers where there are none? Everyone demands answers, like happiness, as a right. How hopeless. How ironic.
Irony. That English virtue that purifies our rowdy passion. Hope comes from within, my friend. When hope goes, we freeze. Hope falters, but never fawns or crowds, never stands in line. Even in dread and noise, it strains for coherence, for a snatch of harmony. An old trumpet played upon, but not playing, sounding, but
but only in my head. Alas. Coherence conceals as much as it reveals to the lost, like me, who contemplate the wreckage. I lived among the hills, footmarked here, rooted here, in ancient English time. Will the king ever pay our debts? 200, isn't it? At 20 pence a day, it's little wonder. 'Tis women make us love. 'Tis loving makes us sad. 'Tis sadness makes us drunk, and drinking makes us mad. Is it not St. Cecilia's Day tomorrow? Yes, yes. I shall write a comical history of Don Quixote. Pray for me.
was a colossus, the boy. It flew up from him on notes, everything. They'll not find the half of it. Did he not give to the Englishman his glorious, glorious, unquenchable music? There'll be none like it.
Remember me.
It's gone up. Notice.
Ah. When?
This is the last week.
Good. I'm very tired of it. You?
Well, I've got a coffee commercial. Did you get that film?
Forget my fate.
Still, never mind. There's always your play. As if you ever finish it, though. There's always the telly. They commission plays about musicians, don't they?
Only from established authors, I'm told.